Hi, welcome back to the North Little Rock Public Library. We're glad you've joined us once again, and I know you're going to love this story today because it's an old favorite of maybe even your parents from a long time ago by Maurice Sendak. It's called Where the Wild Things Are, and if you've ever read that book, some people read it over and over and over because it's just kind of a fun book about dressing up and sometimes doing naughty things, right? So today the story goes like this. The night Max wore his wolf suit and he made mischief of one kind or another. He was always bothering his dog, and he took the fork and he was chasing him. When his mother said, "Wild thing," and he said, "I'll eat you up." And his mother sent him to his room without having anything to eat. Well, that very night, Max was in his room, and he was sitting around waiting to get out of his room, I'm sure, and he imagined a forest grew and grew and grew, and it grew all around him. The vines hung on the walls, and it was the most beautiful forest he'd ever seen, and it became the world all around. And Max thought, this is great. He pretended he was in the ocean. He tumbled by, and he went in a private boat all the way to the land where the wild things lived. Now, the wild things were some scary-looking beasts. Oh, they were there. And when he got there, he saw those wild things, and they loved Max. He came to that place. They roared their terrible roars. They gnashed their terrible teeth. They held out their terrible claws, and Max said, "Be still." And they did. He tamed them by looking into their big yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were so frightened of him, they didn't know what to think. And they said, "Oh, you're the most wild thing of all." And Max said, "Yes." And they made him king of all the wild things. And Max and the animals, all the beasts, danced their terrible dances. And they danced and danced. And they roared. And they showed their terrible teeth. And they had so much fun. But after a while, Max got tired of it, and he said, "Stop." And they didn't want to. And he said, "But you're the king of all beasts." And Max said, "No, it isn't so." And then he felt very lonely, and he really wanted to be back where someone would be loving him more than anybody. So he sailed back in his private boat, in and out of days, in and out of weeks, and over time, to where he came back home, to where the vines were all growing on his walls, and the trees were all around, and he sat down and he smelled something wonderful. And when he looked around, it was his supper still waiting for him. And guess what? It was still hot. And that's a very short story about where the wild things were. And I hope you'll read that story because it's kind of a short little story, but it's really fun. And I love to act out the beasts. And maybe you can even put some claws on. You could make some little nails on your fingers and pretend you're the beast, and Max could tame you. So I hope you enjoyed the story. Come check it out at the library. There's other versions of it as well, and I hope you'll enjoy reading here at the library. Come and see us soon. Bye-bye.